You actually can't make this up, bro. Like, I need everybody to stop what they're doing right now because what just happened to Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Playboy Carti, and Kanye West is not a coincidence. It's a coordinated assault on the entire infrastructure of the music industry, and nobody is talking about it the way it needs to be talked about. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. So before I even break down the details of what just happened, I need y'all to understand the timing, because the timing is what makes this whole thing feel like it was ripped straight out of a movie script. You had the Kendrick Lamar Howard Stern interview randomly surfacing out of nowhere, an old interview from years back, just magically appearing in people's feeds like somebody somewhere flipped a switch and said, now. You had the DJ Dahi snippet with Kendrick floating around the internet. You had leaks, snippets, random drops, all within the span of about a week, maybe 8 days if you really count it out. And then, as if all of that wasn't enough noise already, the hack happens. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that every single one of those events is directly connected to each other. I'm not drawing red string on a corkboard like some conspiracy theorist in a basement. But what I am saying, and what I think any reasonable person would conclude after looking at the full picture, is that when you stack all of these events on top of each other and look at the timeline, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Something is building. Something is ramping up. And this hack, this coordinated, simultaneous takedown of multiple major artists' YouTube channels, might be the loudest warning sign we've gotten yet that the music industry is entering a phase that none of us are prepared for. Let me start with Drake, because what the hackers did to this man is, honestly, the pettiest thing I have ever witnessed on the internet. And I have been on this internet for a long time, bro. I have seen a lot of petty things. I have seen people do a lot of wild stuff. But this is a different level. These hackers broke into Drake's YouTube channel, his personal, verified, official channel with millions of subscribers. And they didn't just upload random songs or throw up some cryptic message or deface his banner. No. They went and uploaded Not Like Us. They uploaded Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, the diss track, the nuclear bomb, the song that single-handedly shifted the entire culture's perception of Drake, to Drake's own channel. I need you to let that sink in for a second, because I don't think people really grasp how insane that is. The one song that has been the absolute devastation of Drake's career, the song that turned the entire world against him, the song that called him every name you can possibly be called on a record, the song that his own label allegedly tried to fight against. That is the song they chose. Not a freestyle, not some throwaway track, not even a random troll post. They went for the jugular. They went for the one piece of content that carries the most emotional, cultural, and historical weight in this entire beef, and they planted it right there on Drake's doorstep. And if you think I'm exaggerating or that this was some kind of fan edit or deep fake, I'm telling you right now, this was real. It was confirmed. Multiple people saw it live. It was on his actual channel. But here's what makes it even more insane. And this is the detail that I need y'all to really lock in on, because this is where it goes from funny internet moment to something much bigger. The hackers didn't do the same thing to everybody. That's the detail that separates this from just some random prank by some random kid who got lucky with a password. For Drake, they uploaded Not Like Us and a freestyle. That was it. But they also dropped a Discord link on his channel, which tells you something critical about their actual intentions. This wasn't just about trolling. This was about infrastructure. This was about access. This was about building a network. They wanted people to follow the trail. They wanted people to join the Discord. They wanted to create something out of this chaos. And when you look at what they did to the other artists, which I'm about to break down, you start to realize that Drake was treated differently. Drake was the one they wanted to humiliate publicly. Drake was the one they wanted to make an example of. And that distinction, that deliberate, calculated difference in how they approached each artist, should tell you everything you need to know about who these hackers might be and what their real agenda is. Because this isn't random. This is choreographed. Now, you go over to Kendrick Lamar's page, and it's a completely different story, and I mean completely. The hackers uploaded The Prayer, and for those of y'all who don't know the history behind this track, this is significant for a very specific reason that I'm about to break down. Some of y'all who've been around for a minute, who had SoundCloud back in the day, and I'm talking about the real SoundCloud era, not what it is now. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There was this whole underground ecosystem on SoundCloud where people had compiled these massive, like 20-minute collections of unreleased Kendrick songs. It was essentially an unofficial project, a pile of unreleased material that had some of Kendrick's absolute dopest work on it, bro. There was a song on there about friends who had passed away. Heavy, emotional, deep Kendrick. There was another track that had all of Black Hippie and SZA on it. And the hook was incredible. The verses were incredible. And it was one of those songs that made you genuinely question why it never saw an official release. There was another song from that era that dated back to maybe 2010, 2011, and that's actually where a lot of people first heard Look Over Your Shoulder by Busta Rhymes. It leaked on that SoundCloud pile before it ever ended up on Busta's Extinction Level Event 2 album. The point I'm making is that this SoundCloud era was a goldmine, and the version of The Prayer that the hackers uploaded to Kendrick's channel appears to be from that same era. It's not the version that's been floating around for the last few years. This is dated. This is old. This is from the vaults. And the fact that these hackers had access to that specific version, not the commonly circulated one, but the original, deep-cut version, tells you they're not just random people who got lucky with a phishing email. They have deep catalogs. They have connections to the leak community that go back years, maybe even a decade. But here's the thing that really makes me pause about the Kendrick situation, and I want y'all to think about this with me. They didn't hit him with anything weird. They didn't upload a Drake diss to his channel. They didn't try to embarrass him. They didn't upload Family Matters to Kendrick's page the way they uploaded Not Like Us to Drake's. They didn't go on his page and do anything that would make Kendrick look bad or compromise his image. Kendrick got a song. One song. An unreleased track that fans actually wanted to hear, that fans have been searching for. Now, why is that? Why would the same group of hackers treat Drake one way? Maximum humiliation, maximum embarrassment, the pettiest move imaginable, and treat Kendrick a completely different way? Is it because they have a preference? Is it because they're fans of one side of the beef and not the other? Or is it because the goal was never about the individual artists at all? What if the goal was about demonstrating power? Showing the industry that nobody is safe, that no channel is too protected, that no vault is too deep. And the Drake humiliation was just the headline. The thing that would make ESPN, that would make the blogs, that would make every content creator on YouTube stop what they were doing and make a video. The Kendrick upload was the subtlety. The Carti situation, which I'm about to get to, was the volume. Different approaches for different artists, all part of the same coordinated operation. Okay, and this is where I need to shift gears on y'all. Because if you think the Drake and Kendrick situations are wild, and they are, what happened to Playboy Carti's YouTube channel is on a completely different level of chaos, and I need you to brace yourself for this one. When the hackers hit Playboy Carti's YouTube page, they didn't just upload one song and call it a day. They uploaded song after song after song after song after song. It was an avalanche of content. They uploaded some of Carti's own unreleased music, and they also uploaded their own music, their own tracks, their own productions, on his channel. They essentially turned one of the biggest artists in the game's YouTube page into their personal mixtape distribution platform. And if that wasn't brazen enough, they altered his banner to feature the I Am Music logo, the album that Carti's fans have been waiting for, the project that has been teased and delayed and anticipated for what feels like an absolute eternity, and they uploaded a fake version of the entire I Am Music album to his channel. Now, think about the psychology of that move for a second. You're a Playboy Carti fan. You've been waiting for I Am Music for years. You get a notification that something new dropped on his channel. You click on it, and there it is, what looks like the album. The banner says, I Am Music. The uploads are there. Your heart drops. You think it's finally here. And then you realize it's not real. It's a hack. The album you've been dying for is a phantom. That is psychological warfare, bro. That is not just hacking. That is playing with people's emotions. That is weaponizing anticipation. And the hackers just sat back somewhere and watched the entire Carti fan base lose their minds in real time. And then there's Kanye West, or Ye, as he's known now. And his situation is different yet again, which further confirms that these hackers were tailoring their approach to each artist. The hackers uploaded a string of tracks to Ye's channel that longtime fans recognized almost immediately. Titles like Superstarred, Dem Guys, 06 Beat 06, All I Need, Fight with the Best, and Mind Your Business. Now, here's what's interesting. Some of these were traced back to Ye's beat catalog from the late 1990s. We're talking about material that's over 25 years old. Others, like Dem Guys and Mind Your Business, were songs from a Go-Getters compilation, which was a Chicago-based group from the 90s that also featured GLC. And Superstarred, which is also known in the leak community as Floating, is widely believed to be from Ye-led sessions in 2018. The same year he dropped his Ye album and was producing for Pusha T, Nas, Teyana Taylor, and the Kids See Ghosts project with Kid Cudi. So these hackers went into Ye's archive and pulled material that spanned decades. They didn't just grab the obvious stuff. They went deep. They pulled songs that most fans didn't even know existed, songs that even dedicated Ye archivists had barely heard. And they slapped it all on his official channel like it was just another day at the office. They also dropped a Discord link on his page, just like they did with Drake, which again tells you this is part of a coordinated strategy to funnel people toward whatever community they're building. Now, here's where the pattern interrupt hits, and I really need y'all to sit with this for a second, because I've been going through this whole thing and I've been laughing about the Drake, not like us, upload, because it is objectively hilarious. I'm not going to pretend it's not. And I've been geeking out over the Kendrick prayer leak, because as a fan, hearing that old version is incredible. And I've been shaking my head at the Carti situation because the audacity is just off the charts. But when you step back from all of that, when you put down the individual stories and look at the full scope of what just happened, it stops being funny. It stops being entertainment. And it starts being something that should concern every single person who cares about the music industry, every single person who creates content, every single person who relies on digital platforms for their livelihood. Because this wasn't just for artists. This was reportedly Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Playboy Carti, and Kanye West, but also allegedly a whole wave of other artists, reportedly including names like Juice WRLD, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, The Weeknd, Eminem, Trippie Redd, Lil Durk, Cardi B, Chris Brown, and others. All hit. All at the same time. All in what appears to be a coordinated, synchronized attack on the YouTube infrastructure of the music industry's biggest and most protected names. That's not a prank. That's an operation. Let me ask y'all something directly, and I want you to really think about this before you dismiss it. When was the last time, and I mean ever, in the entire history of the internet, when was the last time you saw this many major artists get compromised simultaneously? I'm not talking about one channel getting hacked because somebody clicked on a bad link in an email. I'm not talking about the old Vivo breach from years ago, which was a different animal entirely. I'm talking about the biggest names in hip-hop and popular music all getting hit in the same window of time, with different content uploaded to each one, with Discord links planted across multiple channels, and with a clear, discernible strategy behind who got what and how they were treated. Because that's what this is. This is strategy. This is coordination. This is somebody, or some group, sitting down, looking at a list of the biggest artists in the world, and deciding who gets humiliated, who gets a gift, who gets flooded, and who gets archived. And if you don't believe me, look at the Discord links. The Discord links alone tell you this is organized. These hackers aren't just causing chaos for the fun of it. They're building a network. They're using the biggest artists in the world as billboards, as traffic drivers, as recruiting tools to push people toward their own community. And that should make you uncomfortable. Because if they can do this to Drake, one of the most commercially powerful artists in the history of music, to Kendrick, to Ye, to Carti, if they can walk into the most protected, most resourced, most security-backed channels on the entire platform and do whatever they want, whenever they want. What does that say about the infrastructure of the entire music industry? What does that say about the systems that are supposed to protect artists' catalogs, their unreleased material, their direct line to their fans? And more importantly, what does that say about what's coming next? Because here's where the industry layer comes in. And this is the part that I think the casual fan might miss, but that anybody who understands the business side of music needs to pay very close attention to. This hack isn't just about embarrassment. It's not just about leaked songs. It's not just about Discord links and funny profile picture changes. It's about control. Think about what a YouTube channel means to an artist in 2026. It's not just a place to upload music videos. It is the primary direct connection between the artist and their audience. It's the platform where they control their narrative, where they release their content on their own terms, where they monetize their visual presence, where they build their brand. When a hacker takes over that channel, they're not just stealing songs. They're stealing the artist's voice. They're hijacking the most important relationship in the modern music industry, the relationship between the artist and the fan. And in an industry where labels have been fighting for years to control distribution, where streaming platforms have been consolidating power at an unprecedented rate, where the conversation about who owns what and who controls what has never been more intense. A hack like this exposes the fragility of the entire system in a way that no boardroom meeting ever could. If the biggest artists on the planet, artists with full teams, with IT departments, with security protocols, with label backing, can have their channels overrun in a single night, then the infrastructure isn't as strong as anybody in power wants you to believe it is. And that gap, that vulnerability, that crack in the foundation, is exactly the kind of thing that certain parties could exploit. Not just hackers. I'm talking about entities with much bigger agendas and much deeper pockets. Now, I want to take this even deeper, because there's a cultural dimension here that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. We've been here before, y'all. We have been here before, and I need the old heads to back me up on this. Some of y'all remember LimeWire. Some of y'all remember downloading mixtapes and albums illegally, burning CDs, putting them on your little devices, whatever those little joints were called, the small ones you put music on. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name right now, but y'all know. We've been in the era of hackers doing what hackers do for a long, long time. When Carter 3 got leaked, that was the moment a lot of people in the industry realized things had gotten out of control. That was the wake-up call. But here's the fundamental difference between what happened then and what's happening now, and this is the distinction that matters. Back then, leaks were decentralized. They were random. Somebody would get a hold of a CD, rip it, throw it online, and it would spread through forums and peer-to-peer networks. There was no strategy. There was no coordination. There was no Discord link driving you to a community. There was no deliberate decision about which artist gets humiliated and which artist gets a gift. It was chaos, but it was unorganized chaos. It was the internet doing what the internet does. What's happening right now is a different animal entirely. This is organized chaos. This is strategic. This is targeted. This is coordinated across multiple artists simultaneously, with different playbooks for different targets. And the fact that it's happening to the biggest names in the game, not just one artist, not just two, but a wave of them, a coordinated sweep, tells you this isn't about music. This is about power. This is about demonstrating that the systems that are supposed to protect the most valuable cultural assets in the world are paper thin. And I keep coming back to the timing, because the timing is what haunts me about all of this. It's what keeps me up at night. You have the Howard Stern interview with Kendrick Lamar surfacing at this exact moment. An interview from years ago, suddenly relevant, suddenly in the algorithm, suddenly everywhere. You have the DJ Dahi snippet going around. You have people talking about Kendrick's next project reportedly being boxing themed. And shout out to the content creators who were on that before it became a Twitter rumor, because I remember seeing videos about the boxing theme months before any leaked tweets started circulating. I remember specific creators breaking down the symbolism, the Grammy appearance with the hand wraps, the visual language that pointed toward a boxing concept. And now it's everywhere. Now it's the dominant theory. You have people talking about Jay-Z dropping an album. I've been saying it, and I'll say it again. I really, truly, genuinely believe Jay-Z is going to drop an album. There's been too much symbolism, too many signs, too much movement behind the scenes for it to be nothing. I need to finish my Jay-Z journey before that happens, which is why I'm dropping Kingdom Come and American Gangster back to back. Because I want the whole journey done. I want the whole catalog broken down. I want everything on the table before whatever is coming arrives. Because I feel like all of this is related. I feel like the leaks, the hacks, the interviews, the snippets, the rumors, the symbolism, it's all connected. It's all part of the same wave. And I don't think we've seen the crest yet. But here's my truth bomb. And this is the thing that I need every single one of y'all to hear me on, because this is the part that matters most, and this is the part that I'm most confident about. What if this hack isn't an isolated event? What if this is the opening move in something much, much bigger? Think about it with me for a second. The music industry is clearly being deconstructed right in front of our eyes. The old models are crumbling. The power structures are shifting in ways that we can barely keep up with. Artists are fighting labels over ownership and masters. Labels are fighting streaming platforms over payouts. Streaming platforms are fighting regulators over market dominance. The entire ecosystem is in a state of flux that we haven't seen since the Napster era, maybe even before that. And in the middle of all of that chaos, in the middle of all of that structural instability, somebody, or some group, just demonstrated that they can walk into the digital homes of the biggest artists on earth and do whatever they want. That's not a prank. That's not trolling. That's a power move. That's a statement. And I keep coming back to this word because it's the only one that fits. This is coordination. The one thing you cannot deny about what just happened is that it's coordinated. You can debate the motives. You can debate the targets. You can debate whether it's connected to the Howard Stern interview or the DJ Dahi snippet or the boxing album rumors. But you cannot debate the coordination. And coordination implies strategy. Strategy implies goals. Goals imply that there is a plan. And if there's a plan, then this is just the beginning. Because nobody orchestrates something this complex, this ambitious, this visible, just to upload, not like us, to Drake's channel and call it a day. That's the appetizer. The main course is still being prepared. And if you think about it from a pure business perspective, and I know some of y'all don't like to get into the business side, but stay with me. The implications are staggering. If I'm a label executive right now, I'm not just concerned. I'm terrified. Because if my biggest artists, the artists whose catalogs generate hundreds of millions of dollars, whose unreleased material is the equivalent of digital gold, if those artists can be compromised this easily, this quickly, this publicly, then what exactly am I protecting? What's stopping somebody from leaking an entire album before it's ready, before the marketing rollout, before the singles are positioned, before the streaming strategy is executed? What's stopping somebody from uploading fake content to an artist's channel and confusing the market, diluting the brand, undermining the release strategy. What's stopping somebody from manipulating the relationship between the artist and the fan in ways that could cost millions of dollars in lost revenue, lost trust, lost momentum? The music industry has spent the last decade building its entire digital infrastructure on the assumption that platforms like YouTube are secure, that the channels are protected, that the vaults are locked. This hack just blew that assumption to pieces in front of the entire world. And the fact that nobody in the industry, not one label, not one distributor, not one platform, is publicly addressing the scope of this. Nobody is holding a press conference. Nobody is releasing a statement about the coordinated nature of these attacks. Nobody is telling fans what happened and what's being done about it. That silence tells you everything. Either they're caught completely off guard, which is terrifying, or they know more than they're letting on, which is even more terrifying. Either way, the silence is deafening, and the silence is a sign that the people in power are scrambling behind closed doors. Some of y'all are probably sitting there right now thinking I'm reaching. Some of y'all are probably thinking, bro, it's just a hack. Hacks happen all the time. Channels get compromised. They get recovered. Life goes on. And to that, I say, name one time. I'll wait. Name one time where Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Playboy Carti, and Kanye West all got hacked at the same time. Name one time where the hackers treated each artist differently based on what would cause the most cultural damage. Humiliation for Drake, a gift for Kendrick, an avalanche for Carti, an archive dive for Ye. Name one time where Discord links were planted across multiple major artist channels simultaneously as part of what appears to be a community-building, traffic-driving strategy. Name one time where the scope was this wide, the coordination was this clear, and the industry response was this silent. You can't, because this hasn't happened before. This is unprecedented. And the fact that it's being treated like just another day on the internet, like just another piece of content for content creators to react to and move on from, tells me that people are not paying attention to the right things. They're looking at the hack. They should be looking at the infrastructure. They're looking at the songs. They should be looking at the systems. They're looking at the Discord links. They should be looking at who benefits from all of this. Because somebody benefits. Somebody always benefits. So here's where I land on all of this. And I want to be real with y'all, because I feel like I've been circling this for the entire video, and now it's time to just say it plainly. The music industry is being hacked, literally and figuratively. Literally, because somebody just walked into the channels of the biggest artists on the planet and rearranged the furniture, uploaded whatever they wanted, planted their flags, and walked out without consequence. Figuratively, because the entire structure of how music is created, distributed, consumed, and controlled is being dismantled in real time, piece by piece, in ways that most people aren't even tracking. And I think these two things, the literal hack and the figurative deconstruction, are connected. I think the hack is a symptom of a larger disease. A disease of vulnerability, a disease of fragility, a disease of an industry that built its entire modern house on digital sand and is now watching the tide roll in. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm not saying I know exactly what's coming next or who's behind this or what the end game is. But I'm saying that the signs are everywhere. The leaks, the hacks, the interviews surfacing, the snippets, the rumors, the symbolism, the silence from the people in power. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not connecting the dots, you're going to miss the moment when everything shifts. Because it's shifting right now. It's shifting as we speak. And I, for one, am not going to be the person who looks back 6 months from now and says I didn't see it coming. I've got more videos coming for y'all, and they're going to be deep. I'm going to dive into the Howard Stern interview and what that timing really means, because that interview surfacing at this exact moment is not an accident, and I'm going to break down why. I'm going to get into the boxing album theory in more detail, because the more I look at it, the more the symbolism lines up, and I think there's something there that a lot of people are missing. I'm finishing the Jay-Z journey because I genuinely, in my bones, believe that album is coming, and when it does, everything we've been talking about, the symbolism, the timing, the leaks, the hacks, it's all going to click into place. And for everybody who's been tapping in on Patreon, thank you. Seriously, thank you. For everybody who's been telling me they need the music, I hear you. I got y'all. Trust me on that. It's coming sooner than you think. Just like I told y'all I got you with the battle rap content, and I delivered, I got you with this too. So stay tuned. Stay locked in. Because something is on the horizon, bro. I can feel it in my gut. There's something on the way. Maybe it's the music civil war that we've been talking about. Maybe it's the Jay-Z album. Maybe it's Kendrick's boxing project. Maybe it's all of it colliding at once in a way that nobody predicted. But whatever it is, it's coming. And when it arrives, I want all of us to be ready for it. I appreciate every last one of y'all. The new subscribers, the day ones, everybody in between. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, Patreon is there, and I appreciate every single person who's tapped in.